It is now my pleasure to introduce our guest leaders today, Denise Karkoff and Jamie Haggerty. So Denise has spent the last 25 years, 15 of which as partner at the global law firm of Jones Day, acting as a principal outside lawyer on a multitude of mergers and acquisitions and private equity transactions. If you were on earlier this afternoon, Denise mentioned she's just working on closing a $650 million deal. Okay, that just makes me see stars. So she's going to be celebrating later today, and we're so grateful to have someone of her caliber join us today at Lakeland. Her experience covers a wide range of matters in a variety of industries and deal structures. Now, the focus of her legal work over those 25 years has been working with private equity funds, but she's also served as a general counsel function, which is basically a business attorney for countless private companies. And after helping clients with those businesses for the last 25 years, she decided she wanted to start her own business. So that business is Adrenaline Monkey. It's a family adventure and training center dedicated to empowering guests of all ages, sizes, and abilities through fun and physical challenges. Now we have a special guest that wasn't on our marketing materials, so we definitely love to over deliver. So we've got Jamie Haggerty here with us today. She's been with Adrenaline Monkey since its opening. She first began her journey as a director of marketing and business development and eventually took on the role as general manager. Her recent goals include developing the business into a franchise, which I know I've worked with businesses on this. This is a huge endeavor, so hats off to Jamie, but a wonderful way for an entrepreneur with a great idea to expand their visibility and their profitability and success. So we wish Jamie success in developing that. Prior to coming to Adrenaline Monkey, she served as a business development manager for the Sports Facility Advisory, where she advised the development of new sports facilities across the nation. She's got an extensive background in sports industry, as well as experience in event sales and marketing for a number of organizations. So now what I'm going to do is, Connie, you're going to shut down those slides if you could. And I'm going to turn the power over to Jamie, who is going to show us a brief, 1 second here, I'm getting that presenting power over to Jamie. She is going to show us a couple of brief videos, I believe, for Adrenaline Monkey. So you guys all have a great introduction into what the business is. And then I'm going to ask these ladies a number of questions. Thanks for sharing those, Jamie.
My
Thank you.
pleasure.
Yeah, so that hopefully gives all of you an idea of the fun and the exercise and certainly the sweating with that last video that's going on over at Adrenaline Monkey. So I'd like to first start off and ask you ladies, if you wouldn't mind, just giving a brief history of your careers. I know I said a little bit, but also your delving into this entrepreneurial journey. So I'm not sure who wants to start.
Jamie, did you want to start?
I'm sorry, but it cut out for just a second there.
Okay. Yeah, Jamie, you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Jamie Haggerty. Thanks for the brief introduction. So of course, I'm not the entrepreneur here. I really am Denise's right-hand person. I have been with her since the very beginning. She actually was my client when seeking a feasibility study. So moving to Cleveland over 4 years ago and started with her. So my background is really in the business development and marketing side. That was what I brought to the table, opening a series of sports facilities across the nation, early stage all the way through execution and making these facilities come to life essentially. So meeting Denise, we really hit it off early on. Shared the vision with her in the sports industry, was introduced to a brand new sport, and she's really guided that path for me. So as much as I'm not the entrepreneur, I share that with her. I feel like I am. I treat the business as if it's my own and really just strive to continue to grow and adapt and evolve as a business.
I think you are an entrepreneur, Jamie. You definitely have the spirit, the entrepreneurial spirit. So someday maybe you'll have your own business. So as Gretchen already described, my journey started as a lawyer, and I'm still a lawyer, but it's been 25 years, and I've been practicing as a mergers and acquisitions lawyer. So basically, what does that mean? It means I help people buy and sell companies and also build them. So they might buy a small company and then buy another small company and keep adding to those to their platform. So as I'm representing all of these clients, I'm saying to myself, why don't I do this? Why like I watch them have immense success, and I see people that in some cases aren't very sophisticated, I have to say, including, if you guys know Yeti coolers, you might know the Yeti drinkware. So I represented a private equity fund that bought Yeti coolers, and they were just a couple guys who wanted a cooler that would withstand a bear attacking it while they were hunting. And that's seriously how it got started. So it just inspired me. Like, why don't I just give it a chance? And then in tandem with me thinking of a lot of ideas of businesses I might want to start, my 8-year-old twin daughters came up with, they pitched me an idea. They're watching the show, American Ninja Warrior, and they're getting frustrated watching this little 5-foot-tall Casey Catanzaro. She's struggling to get in up the warped wall and get through the spider climb. And they're like, well, why can't there be a place where everybody can play on these obstacles and everyone can fit, whether, it's a woman or a child, like everyone should be able to do it. Mommy, why can't you just do like Sky Zone, but take out those trampolines and put in these obstacles and make it a business? And they were 8. And I said, I really think that that's a pretty clever idea. And then the whole process started, and that's how Jamie and I connected, because I had to find a location that worked and then do a feasibility study to figure out if it was the right location to start a business. And here we are, and part of, I guess, my thinking was when my little girls are asking me, Mommy, can you do this? I wanted them to know that they could be anything that they wanted to be. I wanted them to not necessarily have to be an employee of someone, but perhaps to be their own boss someday. So.
Excellent. I like that message, particularly seeing I have kids. That's an important one. That they got to know from the get-go that this is something they can do. And my students from 1620 who are here, this is something you can do, okay? My students from Intro to Entrepreneurship, you can make this happen. So Denise, what have you seen so far as being the benefits of owning the business? And I know you're still working your other job, but what have those benefits been?
Yes, I'll tell you, I like being my own boss. That is a nice thing, to not be reporting to somebody else and having that freedom. I also like being creative, and there are some opportunities in law to be creative, maybe more around structuring a deal or planning a party to celebrate closing a deal. But I could never get enough of the creativity and I craved that. So for me, that's another benefit of owning your own business. But it's also really rewarding to create the concept and to work on it and build it and watch it benefit your employees and your customers and even the community. It's very fulfilling. So I think as long as you're connected to your concept and you're passionate about it, it's very rewarding.
Thank you. So now I'd like to ask both of you about the challenges that you've encountered, and it could be just in planning the business or funding the business or now operating the business. I'd like you to talk about COVID in a moment, so let's not get quite there yet. But because that's been everybody's challenge the last year. But we'd love to hear your thoughts on challenges.
Sure. I'll go first on this one. I will speak more to the operation because that's what I have my hands in, of course, a lot more. As you can imagine, one of the biggest challenges that we have run into since day one and still, but we're working through it, is personnel. Just having the right leadership mix, especially when you have a small team. We're not yet, but we don't have multiple locations. So we're one location, small team, all hands on deck, every person matters. So finding the right mix of people that work well together, that can own their job, is important. But also, you have to like each other. You have to enjoy each other's company. You want to be there to support one another. I mean, truly, Denise has become my best friend. And I'm thankful to have that. Not only is she my boss, but she's my best friend. She's my mentor. And I've strived to be that for my employees, but it is challenging, right? You're going to run into employees that simply just don't like you. And that's okay. I have to go to work and remember that that's not my job. My job is to run a business and run a successful one at the end of the day. So one of the books I read in college many years ago was Good to Great by Jim Collins. And it's probably the only book I remember, sadly, because I wasn't really, reading isn't my thing. But this one, it really hit home. If you haven't read it, it's really about those who build great organizations really make sure that the right people are on the bus, in the right seat, before they determine where the bus is going. So visiting that challenge from the beginning more so than now, some things that we focused on was identifying our culture. I did have an employee that joined our crew kind of later, about a year into opening, and he asked me, what is the culture? What are we trying to achieve here? And it really made us take a step back, because we know what the culture is, right? We are the culture. We live and breathe that. But from an outsider, he was pretty unsure. So we sat down and identified our culture, really got into the nitty gritty, and realized that it's okay to let people go if they're not a good culture fit, right? You're always trying to justify reasons. Well, maybe they're not performing. Maybe, they're slacking in this area. No, they're just not a good culture fit. And that's okay, because you need the right culture. Getting rid of toxic people, and then always learning from your mistakes, always regrouping. One best practice that I have is a plus delta. Every time we host an event, anytime we do something new, launch a new program, our team sits down, posts, afterwards, and we do a plus delta. What went well? What was great? And then what are those deltas? Instead of focusing on what were the negatives, right? What went bad? It's a delta. How can we improve for next time? So just focusing on that. And then we really just revisited our hiring process, having our employees do a written test, kind of understanding where they are with that. Revisiting wages and incentive programs, and then just general qualifications and making sure that we hire slow. Denise likes to say fire fast, but in a small business, it's hard to fire fast, because every person matters. So it's not always easy to fire fast. We just have to hire slow. All right.
Well, I told you a good thing about having a business was to be your own boss, but I'm going to now tell you that it's a bad thing to be your own boss. It's both. You know, the buck stops with you, and you have to make all the tough decisions. There's just no way around it. And that is quite a heavy load to carry. So it's something when you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, you have to think of both sides of it. You can't just think about, oh, how exciting it'll be and how great it'll be to own your business and sell it someday and make a lot of money. You need to think about, well, what if it doesn't make money? Well, kind of like last year, that becomes your problem, and you're taking money out of your personal pocket to put it into your business to keep it going and to pay your employees. So that's the other side of it. And it's also a grind. It really is. You are working really hard. It's your baby. 24/7. You are on call. There's nowhere to run or hide. You don't get to just clock out and go home. It is your home. The business becomes everything. You're going to think about it when you're awake. You're going to dream about it when you're asleep. And those might not be good dreams sometimes. They could be nightmares. So it definitely there's two sides. I mean, the best thing I can say is you need to have the passion for the concept and the business, because that's the only thing that's going to get you through the grind and help you combat the stress that comes along with it. There needs to be enough good to outweigh the incredible stressful side of it.
Thank you, ladies. Now let's talk COVID. Okay, I know we're all just so tired of this. Okay, right? We're ready to close this book and head on to something better. But in your case, obviously, it had to have been a really challenging year, particularly because your type of business. I know over here we work with some businesses in Lakeland that have had banner years because of what they provide. But we'd love to hear from you how you adapted to the challenges of business. And certainly, I'm no doubt it brought out the creativity that you spoke about earlier, Denise. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Sure, I'll go first here again. So the biggest challenge has been customers, customer perspective, making customers happy. I mean, really everything. So a year ago, when COVID, I guess, started, when we were reacting at the time, we thought we were doing a great thing by staying open when we still could until the actual shutdown. We provided a solution for families that had to work by offering day camp. By doing that, we received a lot of criticism. People telling us that we were unsafe, that we were part of the problem, demanding that we shut down. And that's hard to hear, especially, we were a year and a half into opening, just turned the corner into building, a better foundation, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with things and climbing mountains at the time. And so for people to really come down on us, what felt defeating at the time, of course, reacting to the shutdown had its own, it was its own category there. But now we're a year into COVID, running a business. And again, the challenge with customers is just that everyone has different feelings and opinions about COVID. And that's a battle we keep fighting. So, one family they want to come to Drill Monkey, but they don't want to wear masks. The other family demands masks, so right when we were able to open, we had a slow reopening plan. That way we could trust what we were doing. Our customers could trust us. Our employees could trust us. So we really took it slow. We did a phased reopening, just like the governor did as a phased closing and reopening. So we kind of followed suit on that, did what we had to do. But the important part was establishing safety protocols that would just overall best serve our customers and employees. And we stayed true to them. Really, we didn't change much. We set the standard and we stuck to those. So we practice what we preach. We are always adapting, but we came up pretty strong with those protocols, did our research, made the appropriate phone calls, learned that it's okay to be real with our customers. Instead of trying to be, so templated, we focused on, hey, we're doing our best. We're doing the best we can. We have not gone through something like this, a global pandemic. We weren't prepared, we're reacting, adapting. And then also thanking them. I've thanked a lot of people, really since opening, but especially with COVID, just thank you for telling me, because this will make us better, right? Sometimes you're not always aware of this, how people feel until they tell you. So just reacting in a positive way and making people feel like they're part of the solution has gone a long way with our customers. And that makes them trust us, and just providing that reassurance that we are safe. So to just sustain the business through the times. With COVID, we provided alternative revenue streams. So instead of sitting back and waiting and hoping and praying, Denise and I really put our heads together and got creative to think, okay, what can we do with us building our size to be safe and help families that need it? And one of the examples is Adventure School, where we allowed remote learners to bring their respective programs to Adrenaline Monkey during the day, during school hours, and have access to the facility in a safe way. So never just sitting back and waiting, and just always being proactive in reaction of COVID.
Yeah, so when I think of COVID, I think about all those tough decisions I referred to earlier, the top side of owning a business, of so many, like Jamie said, do we require masks or do we not require masks? And when it was an option, and people felt so strongly about either side of it. Should we put significant investment into safety equipment or other equipment? We ended up building outdoor obstacles. We have an outdoor obstacle course now. So here we are, sucking wind, literally, making no money, having a major loss, and we took money and out of personal pocket and we invested more into the business. But you have to do that. You know, you have to, you can't stop marketing. We never stopped marketing. You have to run your business assuming you're going to make it. You can't run it in fear. You have to run it with that same passion and fervor that you know you're going to be okay. And I also think when you're making those tough decisions, like I would say to myself, okay, what is my gut telling me to do? You know, what, based on our core values in our business and my own moral values, what is the right thing to do? And we became very educated about the disease and how it spread and what really was relevant. And we did what made sense. And then we threw a few other things in there that we really didn't need to do because of perception. You know, we're doing all these huge cleanings, but it doesn't even spread that way. But, you know, you got to give people what they need to get comfortable. So that's what we had to do. But we also reached out to the community, and as Jamie said, and we let ourselves be vulnerable. And that was hard. I have to say that was hard for me. I'm used to being very professional and I'm strong and, you know, nothing can bother me. But we decided strategically it was the right thing to say, we are struggling and we need you to support local. We might look really fancy because we did such a wonderful job with our building and putting it together that it just looks like a franchise already, and we look like we are huge, but we're not. We are a small, struggling local business, and we need your help. So this is what you can do to help us. And we gave them a path. You can buy gift cards for the future. You know, you can share our posts with people. You can spread the word. You can do our adventure school, you know. So Jamie's right. We had to be vulnerable. But there have been a few gifts of COVID. I would say Adventure School is one of them that Jamie mentioned. But I also, when we thought about if we're going to let someone in the building, they're paying us something. We can't afford to let somebody in the building who could actually spread COVID and they didn't even spend $1, you know, spectators that bring their kids. So we instituted a policy that you spend $10 and you get the ability to apply that towards food and beverage or the arcade. And I have to tell you, Jamie knows I'm obsessed with the numbers. I study them all the time. Our food and beverage and arcade spend as a percentage to 2019 is double everything else. So that ended up, it taught us something. Like, what, we should have always been doing this. If this makes sense, we're showing people, hey, by the way, did you know we have a bar upstairs? And we actually have some healthy food up there. It is pushed people in the right direction. The other thing we did, and this was the perception thing too, was on the hour, every hour, we clean the obstacles. And that just gives everybody that good feeling. But we're never going to stop doing that, because during that 15-minute period, we tell everyone, hey, go get some food and beverage. Go to the arcade, right? And so those policies have ended up driving those revenue streams.
Thank you, ladies. I want you to know that a chat came to me saying from one of your customers, saying you guys did a great job staying open with your safety measures in place while allowing others to feel comfortable while using their own minds to make a decision. So your customers appreciate that approach. We are going fast here, so I'm probably going to skip over a couple of my pre-made questions so we can make sure we get to student questions. But I'll ask you now to both of you, question both of you. What do you consider to be some leadership best practices in business? And you may have touched on some of these already, but what are your thoughts there? Leadership best practices in business.
Yeah, I will start here. I'm really passionate about this. I love leadership training. Something I focus on. I've learned a lot with my background. So a few bullet points I have are really getting to know your employees. This is actually something I learned more with Adrenaline Monkey because I've had more employees and younger employees. We have a lot of teenagers. And so getting to know them, maybe they have hidden talents, maybe they're dealing with something at home that I could relate to, and just making them feel comfortable with getting to know them is so important. And inquiry before advocacy is something that a tool that I've always brought to every job, whether it's with employees or a customer, just sitting in inquiry, getting to know people, listening, and then advocating, right? Better every time. We have to get better every time. If we're not, then we're not growing. We're not sustaining. So every time we do a different program, events, every day at Adrenaline Monkey is better than the last. Communicate directly or don't expect change. This is probably my number one. We're big direct communication. So I really preach that with my employees as well. Duplicity undermines teams. And then build systems as you complete tasks. You know, if you're working on something new, a new concept, and we don't have it in place, put it in place, right? Then it becomes a process or a system and makes it easier later. Nothing more bothers me more than doing the same thing twice. I don't want to do the same thing twice. If I'm going to do it twice, I'm going to do it better the next time.
Denise, do you want to add anything to that? Or should I keep moving forward? We might have a slowdown in the system. Oh, I think you're on mute, Denise. I can't hear you.
Yeah, no, what happened was my power went out. My power just went out. Inexplicably. There's nothing happening outside. There's no rain storm. It just went out. So I didn't probably hear everything that Jamie said, but I'm going to hope that I'm not going to be duplicative. I'm going to add two things. She said so many wonderful leadership practices, but another one I would like to add is leading by example. And it's really not very different than when you're raising your own children and you want them to do certain things, then you should show them how to do those things and you should model that behavior. And that is very much the case at Adrenaline Monkey. If our managers are on their phone inappropriately during business hours, then that's what the employees are going to do. If our managers are being kind and courteous and friendly with the customers, then that's what the employees will do. So leading by example, modeling the right behavior is, I think, so important. I think another strategy is there are tests that you can take to understand your leadership style. And I think it's helpful to know your own style as well as your colleagues. And, like in Jamie's position as general manager, trying to build a team, it's helpful for her to make sure she has a diverse set of types of leadership styles on the staff. You don't want everyone to be the same kind of person because that diversity ultimately makes us better. So we have that for sure. We have one side of the spectrum to the other side in our managers. So that's what I would say.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I've been working a long time, 25, 30 years professionally, and I've heard this term work-life balance pretty much the entire time I've been working. Is it a myth? Or, do you think it can be achieved in this day and age with technology and, Yeah. So is it possible? If so, how do you obtain it? What do you think?
Yeah, I'll speak first. As much as I work like an entrepreneur, I'm going to respond as if I don't, so I can maybe be helpful. I was forced to have a work-life balance because I had a baby 2 years ago. So you have to make that time. As much as I could work 24/7, truly, and never be caught up, and I know that, you have to accept, well, that's not realistic, right? And you have to just accept that you can't, it's hard to get ahead, especially with a newer business, and being the person in charge. So focusing on, what are the priorities? Can you hear me okay? Okay, sorry about that. Making sure that you just focus on the priorities and then delegating. I mean, that's why we have a team. That's the great thing about being the boss is you have a team to delegate to and rely on. But Denise taught me, you have to make time for yourself. Mental health, physical health is important. I used to feel so guilty doing that when we first opened. And that's not because anybody made me feel guilty. It was just the pressure I put on myself, to strive and grow and to be the best and pick up slack for others. So 4 years later, fast forward and getting comfortable with being able to prioritize, I've had to do that. Just you have to make time for yourself because being mentally and physically healthy, it really allows you to be more productive. If I have a good workout in and I took care of myself and took care of these distracting factors outside of work, then I can be more productive in my work day. But taking advantage, Denise and I are both really good at this, but taking advantage of downtime. I don't think there's a car ride that we ever sit in where we don't work. We've been in car rides and we work the whole time, 6 hours straight. Not that everyone's going to be like that, but it really does help because we do have those downtimes that you don't necessarily plan for. Something for me that I personally do, my little one goes to bed at 8 o'clock, 8:30 every night, and I usually work after he goes to bed. It's quiet, it's uninterrupted, and it's the most productive time that I have because I don't have distractions. Plus, I'm a night person, so I'm much more productive in the evening than I would be first thing in the morning. So just understanding what works for you and adapting to that. Something as a boss that I think is important because I'm not the entrepreneur here necessarily, but managing expectations with your team and your boss, if you have one. Okay, so maybe today I am taking that day with my family. It's really important, whatever it is, and just managing those expectations, getting ahead of it, informing your staff, and then respecting that time when they ask for it too, because then they're likely to respect your time. And if it's not urgent and important and it can be let go, sometimes it's okay to let it go to show that for the employees. But something, again, I had to learn because not every employee that I hire is going to be like me. And I can't fix that. So it's hard to find employees that treat it like it's their business.
But I totally agree with Jamie. And I would say the concept I like to say is work smarter, not harder. So if you're able to be super efficient with your time and appropriately delegate and be efficient and effective, it really does help a lot. But I'm not going to lie, balance is a myth. Even all that Jamie just said, her life is not balanced. She is managing it. She is surviving, but because she really is acting like an entrepreneur. With Jamie helping to create the franchise, that's an entrepreneurial task. She's not just a general manager at one facility. She is helping us look for other locations, putting together processes and toolkits that go across the franchise. So, I mean, balance is a myth. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you need to go into it with your eyes open, and you need to be a person that is not really focused on life balance. Not that you shouldn't try to get it, but I'm just saying that can't be your focus. You need to be incredibly flexible and generous with your time. You don't get to ever be 9 to 5. It's going to be just like Jamie's figuring it out. She's doing it late night. And you're going to have to be flexible and figure out how to get everything done and make it work and still be able to be a mom or a wife or a child or whatever it is you need to do. But your work is your life, and you need everyone around you, your team. And I say team, I don't just mean your work team. I mean your husband and your parents and whomever's willing to help you with your life. And you need to be willing to take that help and not be too proud. I mean, when I had my babies, I had twins, and my sister, she's a baby person, and I'm not. And she knew it, and she made a schedule so I was never alone. Every 6 hours there was a shift, and there'd be somebody there to babysit me, because they didn't know if I was going to lose my mind, and I probably would have lost my mind without that. But that was a humbling experience. But thank God I had it. So surrounding yourself with amazing people that you can trust and that you're willing to take help from. And as Jamie mentioned, I'm a big proponent of physical fitness and mental fitness. You need to get your exercise in. I think 6 days a week. I give you 1 day off, but that's it. And it can vary between running, because that's very therapeutic for stress, or just high intensity type workouts. We do at Adrenaline Monkey. And yoga is really good for keeping you from getting hurt from your other workouts, and also from when you're sitting too much, to help open up your shoulders. Very important. And for the mind, meditation. And yoga really helps with the meditation, because yoga puts your body in a place where you're calm enough to meditate. But I recommend the guided meditations where someone's talking to you and giving you good thoughts to think about. I do the Oprah and Deepak Chopra guided meditations, and my daughters have been doing them since they were about 3, and they listen to them too. And that's how they get to sleep, because we all have a little bit of anxiety, and maybe we have a little bit more in my family, but we all need a little help getting to sleep. So your mental fitness and your physical fitness. If your body is not healthy, you're not good to anybody. So thanks.
Thanks, ladies. Okay, I'm going to ask one final question, and we want to get to student questions because I've already seen a couple come across. So Denise, this is for you. The best business decision you've ever made, and why?
Oh, I like this one. The best business decision I ever made was hiring Jamie as general manager. And there's a little story to this. So Jamie was my absolute first employee, and I wasn't ready for her when she moved to Cleveland, but I didn't want to lose her. So I just hired her to just figure stuff out with me. And I just did, because when you see good talent, that's pretty much the point I'm trying to make, you do not let it slip by. Even if you're not prepared for that person, if you know that they're going to be the right fit for your culture and for your business, and they share your passion, then you snap that person up and you keep them. So that was my approach to Jamie. So originally she was helping me with, developing real estate. We built our building. We didn't plan on that, but we had to. She helped me with that. And then she was doing the marketing, and we had a couple not so great managers that we needed to replace. And before that, I'd said to Jamie, I think you should be general manager. And she said, no, that's not me. I'm a marketing person. And she wasn't ready for it. And then after she saw a couple guys not do such a great job, she finally said, okay, I know I can do better than they can do. And she agreed to do it. And that has been the absolute best move and best business decision, because it was, we talked about earlier with culture. You have to have the culture at the top, and it all trickles down. You have to have the passion, the energy, the ability to delegate, the organizational skills, the management skills, all of the things that Jamie has. So best decisions.
Perfect. Okay, so now I want to hear from you guys. What are your questions? So if you have a question, please type it in the Q&A box, and Connie's going to help facilitate those questions.
Okay, well, thank you. Let's get a start here. This is from a student who says that he's been to Adrenaline Monkey and was super curious if the business was partnered with a healthcare business. He didn't remember seeing any kind of health products and thought that that would be a cool combo.
I could take this one. So as of now, not an official relationship. Prior to COVID, we had some discussions that were ongoing with some more health-based businesses that were going to be more like promoting type partners, where we would promote them on our TVs when people came in. But then with COVID, we didn't have enough foot traffic to support that. So that's something we will be getting back with. Jamie, would you speak to relationships with like the clinic or UH? Is there anything official there at all?
We're constantly reaching out to the local clinics, hospitals. I mean, anyone that's in the first responder role, offering discounts, team building, um, just extending that arm to allow have their kids while they work, especially through COVID, to come to our facility. But that's really it. We offer like mass discounts for them. We're right in a nice pocket with the surrounding facilities, the clinic, all of that.
All right, thank you. This question is a little bit long. It's a question and then there's some backup to the question. So I'm going to read it to you. And I'm not sure if this is for Jamie or for Denise, so maybe you'll both take it. But it says, so were you the type of person that was comfortable to burn the candle at both ends, or did you force yourself to be involved with your business? The reason I ask is personality. I feel more refreshed when I'm involved with my entities. If I'm not involved, I don't feel efficient in my role. What did you do to get to that point where you were comfortable with, quote unquote, not being at the office?
Jamie, do you follow that question?
I think part A is you, part B might be me. Really speaking to being involved with your business, did you force yourself to be? And then for me, where are you comfortable not being at the office per se? So
In the context of COVID, like I guess I'm just not understanding.
And I think the question is to, and maybe to Denise, was it difficult for you to maybe give a lot of control, responsibility over to Jamie for your business? So how did you get comfortable with not being 100% there, maybe micromanaging, that kind of thing?
Oh, okay. Thank you. Sorry. Yes, it was a process. So at first, and Jamie will tell you, I drove her crazy. I micromanaged everything. And I don't know if that's wrong or right, but I think until you can develop that trust, you sometimes have to do that. And then as I started to trust her, I would back away. And at this point, I hope she thinks I do not micromanage her anymore, but she can speak to that. But it is hard. It's hard. It's your baby, and you're very protective of your baby. And I've always been very protective of our brand and how we're being represented. We had a marketing firm that wanted to help do some ads for us, and they did some ads that to me were, the word I use is cheesy. I don't know what the word is these days, what you all say, but they were just corny, and that's not who we are. Like I would never, and Jamie knew. She was like, I took it down. But we want to be perceived as more edgy, and not corny. So I'm very protective, and I do think Jamie gets me the most, and she's the most tolerant. But some of the other folks on the staff can be very frustrated because they think they have it all figured out and they have a whole promotion put together and something they want to put out the door, and I want to make certain changes so that for me it represents the brand the way I want it to be represented, not just for this facility but for the franchise. So does that answer the question?
I think it does, yes. Jamie, did you have anything you wanted to add to that in terms of burning the candle at both ends?
No, I think that was perfect and a great answer. Oh, looks like there was a response. Yeah, it's to be honest, it's hard to not look over shoulders. It's hard to trust. It's hard to with the passion and the brand, like Denise said. So micromanaging stops at some point, with certain things, but it'll never really end, especially with a younger staff and a new concept. So I always tell my staff, if you're proactive about it, then I'm not going to micromanage. If you just do your job, and I try to just always extend the help to them as well. So that way they feel they can do it on their own, but I'm available to help if they need. And if they don't get it done, it's because they're stuck. So just extending that to them.
Thank you. We have another question. How does Adrenaline Monkey differentiate itself from the competitors such as Play CLE?
Denise, do you want me to go? Okay.
I can swear, I sometimes can't get my mute button off. I don't know why this is so difficult for me. But that's a really good question, and that is something that has to always be on our mind, even though they're really not a competitor, because for our type of business, it's really more of a 20-minute, I mean, I think even 15-mile radius, really. So they're really not a competitor because geographically they're far enough away. But as far as from the substance, we have had many people say to us, they love and prefer us. And their reason is it's just you walk in and it just gives you a different feeling. Like when you walk into Adrenaline Monkey, first of all, it's a woman-owned business and a woman GM as well. And we are very focused on ambiance and how the place makes you feel, and catering to our customer, who are, our biggest customers really are women like ourselves. They're women who have children and want to bring them there, and they want to be sure they have an active lifestyle, but they don't want to be stuck at a dirty place. We don't want to be at a place that serves a bunch of junk and doesn't have healthy food options. We don't want to be in a place that has Walmart lighting where you feel like, we've thought about all those details. So we have special lighting. We have the monkey bar upstairs and the mezzanine. Like if you go to play, it's all very just open, and there's not really a way to escape and have that elevated mezzanine experience. And they don't have the type of lighting. We also have the experience that you would have on the show. For example, you can hit a buzzer, you hear the buzzer, and we can even, for our competitions and special occasions, we turn on the fog. So you hit the buzzer and the fog comes out. So again, it's all about creating an experience. We can't have the fog on all the time because it turns on the fire alarm, but we can have it sometimes. The other way we're differentiated is our revenue streams. We aren't just entertainment. We aren't just we build it now show up. All of our programming is very thoughtfully put together. If you do a corporate team building event at our place, there's a menu of what are you trying to accomplish? And based on that thing you're trying to accomplish, maybe it's facing fears. Maybe it's trusting your teammates. We have suggested programming, and we put together a customized programming. We do that for corporate team building. We do it for after proms. Our summer camp, they don't have summer camp. So that's an example, like having these other revenue streams, having training. So the hybrid piece is it's not just entertainment. It's also, you have the ability to not just exercise and get in shape, but become a better athlete, whether you're becoming a ninja or you're just cross training for your other sports. We are developing ninja as a sport. We are formalizing the sport. That's part of the creativity that's going on at Adrenaline Monkey, is to take gymnastics and martial arts as examples and create a formalized sport with different levels for ninja. Nobody's done that yet. It started with the TV show, and then they have their AAU style leagues, but it's not in schools yet. We're trying to get it in the schools. So if any of you all want to help us, that's how you could help. If you would be willing to have a team at your college, that would be immensely helpful to us. We're very close to getting Hathaway Brown, because my daughters go there, to have it as a club sport. And then with that, the other schools will follow. So that was a lot of information to unpack, but Jamie, what did I miss?
Nothing. That was spot on.
Okay, we have another question, and this one is framed as a strange question, but she would like to know if your business attracts, and she has it in quotes, regular customers.
Yeah, I'm happy to speak to this one. Absolutely. We don't want to be misunderstood as a gym, and hopefully we didn't relay that today. We really are a family entertainment center. We call ourselves an indoor adventure center just to be a little bit unique, but we offer that family entertainment. We obviously have the ninja courses, the ropes course, climbing walls, that's active entertainment, but we do have a monkey bar. We serve alcohol, we serve food. We have an arcade for the gamers in the group. We actually have a basketball area for some cross training. So we try to be diverse enough. Our mission, as Denise mentioned in the beginning, with her daughter's input, we're a place for everybody. Doesn't matter on your size, shape, ability, interest. It's really try something new, go out of your comfort zone. So absolutely, I've seen it all. We've been open almost 3 years, and I've seen we do team building. Nestle's been there for team building, and we have a range of types of people, and it's a lot of fun. It's incredible to see people going out of their comfort zones. Even me personally, I am not a ninja. I'm 5'10", so I'm a college volleyball player. Ninja, when I first saw it, was intimidating, and then pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone and watching others do that and developing a program that allows that has been so rewarding. So absolutely, most of our customers are, I would say, regular customers. It's that 10% that are really good ninjas or climbing enthusiasts or that active adventurous family. So again, most of them are regular customers, just like all of us.
Yeah, I would like to add to that. We have kids who came to summer camp and just never left. They came week 1, they stayed week 2. They went through the entire summer camp, all the summer, all the weeks, and then we started that adventure school, and they went through adventure school. I mean, and then oh, we're getting kind of good at this ninja stuff. Now they're in classes, training to be better, and some of them were not, were physically unfit. And now they're getting fit. Others were not confident. Some teenage girls who are really struggling, like tweens and teens, and their confidence is now off the charts. And that would be, just as a side note, the real reward for us. It's not the customer that just shows up one day and you never see again. For us, it's seeing those familiar faces and watching the journey of these kids who, in some cases, would be bullied at school. And they would not be in a traditional sport, but they're part of our community now, and we are bringing them up and helping them to reach their best version of themselves. That's what makes it worthwhile for me.
Well, thank you. We have a question regarding the name. How did you come up with Adrenaline Monkey?
Okay, I like this one. All right, so first of all, I'm not a ninja either. I was a runner and I was a marathoner, and I'm hanging out. And when the kids first came up with this concept, I don't know. I thought it would be more appealing to adults, and I've been very surprised that this is really, it is the 6 to 12-year-old is really the sweet spot for this business, and we're always trying to get other age groups. Once they do it, they love it. It's just the easy is 6 to 12. But at the time, I was thinking about how all my friends, we would go marathoning, and it's really about the adrenaline rush that you get. That's why I liked running. It's the way it makes me feel. And then I thought, and then a couple of them, we were doing mud runs, where you do those obstacle courses outside, and you're in the mud and you might get electrocuted and all that crazy stuff. And I'm thinking, we love an adrenaline rush. And so I was trying to think about a way to get that concept of, at some age, I can't marathon anymore, it's destroying my knees, and you need to have something else to get that adrenaline rush. So I was thinking about the adrenaline part, and then the junkie part, but then the monkey part, because we're climbing. So that's how it became Adrenaline Monkey. So it's kind of, hey, well, yeah, it's climbing like a monkey. And then we also wanted it to be approachable, but fierce. Like I said, edgy, but not scary. So you have a monkey, because it's an animal, but it's not a nice monkey. If you look at him, he's kind of fierce. And then you have a name that talks about adrenaline, which is fierce, but a monkey. So it was trying again to appeal to all the age groups and personalities. And by the way, we were told by many people that our name was horrible and they hated it and blah, blah, blah. And that's one of those times where you're making the decision and you have to go with your gut. And just like the guy across town, Play, his name of his business, that's not me. That's boring. I can't call my business Play. Everybody calls their business Play. There's an arcade that's called Play. I wanted it to be like more like Nike, where, you know, it's just, it's like something that's different and memorable, and but not so obvious.
Okay, and on a related note, how did you get your name out there to build your customer base? And how did you build your brand from the very beginning to today?
I'm happy to speak to this, Denise, if you would like. So that was a heavy involvement on my part. Really knowing our market. The research started before this, really when this was a business plan, right? You can't put a business that doesn't make sense in the right market. And it did. It made sense in the Cleveland market because of family. So understanding your customer base, who your customer is, your ideal customer relationships was step one. And then putting together the right messaging. So we put together everything from a brand board, marketing plan, just developing and establishing that business so people could trust and understand us. You know, if you just look at our logo, Adrenaline Monkey, that doesn't tell us who we are. So we had to establish, okay, who are we? And then getting out there. I mean, marketing's interesting for those that don't have a marketing background. There's no perfect template. There's no by the book with marketing. Sometimes you do have to try something and see if it works. And with a small startup business, we can't be on every commercial, every billboard. That's expensive. You know, you really can't afford that. So what is important with establishing any new business is having the right marketing mix. So you're focused on grassroots marketing, digital marketing, just overall representation, print and flyers, everything, you know, hitting all of those. But then what are your major revenue streams? So you have your budget, and then you're focusing your efforts around your goals and your budget. But anytime, any business, especially when it's new and starting up, is being in that grassroots. So going to trade shows, setting up a booth at a fair, you know, whatever that is that makes sense for you. And then just understanding your market. So getting, you know, for us, we get in front of HR directors, we get in front of families, kids groups, youth groups, schools are huge for us. So making that list, developing, and then targeting those based on what they would be interested in. So we're not going to do general marketing all the time, right? Because adults don't care about birthday parties unless they have kids. Kids don't care about corporate team building, you know, unless they're in that setting. So understanding and then executing and sticking to your execution plan and reflecting on it and improving for the next time.
Thank you, ladies. You guys came up with some excellent questions. Thanks so much for getting those out to us. And I learned a lot during the answers to that. So thank you very much. Many thanks to Dworkin and Bernstein for sponsoring our Learn from Leaders today. As a reminder, we are, you know, time is up. It goes fast when you're having fun, but a reminder, all of you, when you drop off the line today on your browser, a survey is going to come up. Please complete that because then you're going to be eligible to take home one of those $25 gift certificates. So you can go on out and check out Adrenaline Monkey in Warrensville Heights. Again, thank you all for attending today. Thank you, Denise and Jamie, for sharing your expertise and advice with us today. Really, us here at Lakeland Community College, we can't do our job educating folks unless we have partners out in the business community. So thank you for being our partner and for sharing your time and expertise. Connie, thanks for being my partner in crime and helping ask questions today. And I wish you all a wonderful rest of the week. And now you can go forth and enjoy that 80 degrees outside.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. And we would love to see the surveys as well, so we can evolve. We need pluses and deltas, as Jamie says.
Absolutely. We can share those with you. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.